Welcome to Business Casual. I am Mihae Ahn, your host and author of The Stories We Tell and Perfectly Incomplete. Business Casual brings you unfiltered conversations with badass, inspiring, highly accomplished women. I am passionate about and believe in the power of sharing stories, our authentic, raw, incomplete stories, getting beyond the polished LinkedIn profiles to the real humans behind the titles. My guest today is Katie Bonar. Katie has had an impressive 13-year career at Cameron Stevens, where she is currently serving as Senior Vice President of Investment Management. The confident and authentic energy Katie always carries with her is something I have loved and admired. Her approach to career growth, team building, and personal development offers valuable insights for anyone, especially those who are starting and building their professional journey. Some key takeaways from our discussion include working smarter, not harder, leads to better results and sustainable success. No need to have a master plan crafted. Most of us figure out as we go. Setting boundaries helps maintain our energy and health in the long run. Authenticity fosters deeper relationships and stronger leadership in the workplace. Please enjoy this honest and motivating conversation with Katie. Hi, Katie. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Mihae. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. It's been a while. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you as well. I know. I feel like we have a lot to catch up on.
Yes, we are. It is summertime, well, kind of end of summer already. Based on what I know about you, we were in the same peer group, so we kind of know each other. Not kind of, quite intimately know each other. One thing that I love about your stories in general is how active you are and how much travel that you do to see the world and learn from that experience. You and your husband, I just love whenever you share your travel stories. So, with that, where did you go last? Where did you go?
Actually, I have two travel anecdotes. So the last trip that we went on is we went on a big family trip with my mom, my brothers, and my husband Jason to the British Virgin Islands in April. So that was a great trip, a little bit out of the way to get to, but when you get there, it's so beautiful and you feel like you've discovered a new world because it's so remote. So that was stunning. And then what I'm really looking forward to that we just booked is in February, going to Milan for the Olympics.
Yes. Didn't you go to Paris for Olympics?
Yes, we did. So my mother-in-law was actually working at the Paris Olympics, running the gymnastics. So it was a really special experience to go and see her in her element. And myself being a former figure skater and a huge fan of figure skating, it's always been on my bucket list to go see the Winter Olympics and see the figure skating live. So my husband's going to the hockey, I'm going to the skating. We're going to do some shopping. Everybody's happy.
Yes, and Milan. Who wouldn't want to go to Milan anyways, right?
Exactly. I figured I'd wrap a vacation and an Olympics viewing in all in one.
Yes, good for you. Please tell me more about the island trip that you did. So what did you see? Like what is the thing to see or do there?
Sure. So the island we stayed on was called Virgin Gorda. So it's one of the British Virgin Islands. The only
Mhm.
reason that actually we were introduced to it is that I have a coworker where his parents own two villas on the island. It's pretty quiet and remote. I'd never even heard of it, but we were looking for a place that could accommodate a larger group for our family that was a little bit more intimate than just staying in a hotel. So he had suggested it and he had sort of told me all about it. But really the thing to do there is just have time to relax and have privacy. You have a beautiful, almost private beach. There's beautiful, spas, wellness retreats, but it's just about spending time together as a family, unplugging because you feel like you're so far away that nobody can reach you. We played a lot of games, a lot of board games at night, and we just really spent a lot of family time together, which is something that when we're so busy in the day to day, it's really hard to do. So it was really just nice to spend that time together as a family.
That sounds so lovely. How do we get there from like Toronto? Like, what is the travel?
So I've been twice, and I learned the second time that the best time to go is between November and May the 1st. Because if you go in that window, you can fly direct from Toronto to San Juan, Puerto Rico. And then you just take a little island hopper plane, which takes about 45 minutes to get over to the British Virgin Islands. But if you go after May the 1st, you have to take 2 flights and then the island hopper. So it becomes a long day. But if you do it beforehand, it's pretty simple. You do have to be comfortable with, though, getting on about a 6-person plane to get there because it is a very small little puddle jumper. The plane looks like it could fit in the palm of your hand. So as long as you're not nervous about flying, you're okay.
Oh man, one of those, that I've seen in movies.
Exactly. It feels like a bit of a dream when you're in it, but you know what? It's actually a pretty smooth ride. We were impressed.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I will definitely look into this. That sounds really lovely. Like
Yes.
almost,
Can't recommend it enough. Happy to talk offline and give you lots of detailed recommendations.
yes, yes, please. Yeah, thank you. Katie, a little bit of yourself. We didn't even talk about, yeah, skipped intro and jumped right into travel stories. So short.
Starting with the important things. But I'm happy just to give a little bio if
Yes,
that's useful.
please.
So my name is Katie Bonar. Mihae and I met, as she mentioned, in one of our McKay peer learning groups. My role is I run our investment management department at a company called Cameron Stevens. And what Cameron Stevens does is it provides debt and equity financing to real estate developers and property owners. So we focus on everything from subdivision construction, condos, industrial buildings, commercial pieces of land, but really just trying to provide financing to the development and the property owner community. I've been at the firm for about 13 years now, which went by in about 2 seconds. So I can't believe it. I started right out of school and I was very lucky to find a company that I could grow my career with. So that sort of led me to where I am today. And in my current role on the investment management side, I'm responsible for portfolio management of our various mortgage funds, new investment strategies, and then running some of our lending programs as well.
13 years, that is long time, right? These days, many people we tend to see after 2 3 years jump, after again, short years and jump. That's quite common. What is, I guess, secret sauce behind your longevity with the company?
I would say there's really two core things that have kept me with the firm for so long. One of them is always having an opportunity to do something different. So if you look at my LinkedIn or my resume, every 2 to 3 years, I've basically had a different job. So I've been able to work in almost every single department within the firm within that 13 years without ever having to leave, which I think is pretty special. We're a smaller shop, we're around 65 employees. I don't think I would have had necessarily the same opportunities had I started at a large financial institution. But because I was able to start when we were only about 19 or 20 people in the firm, every time we wanted to start a new business line or look at a new geography, because I was young and eager to put my hand up, I was given a lot of great opportunities. So that's number one. And then number two, which is actually probably even more important, is just the people that I work with. We have such a close knit group of people. Most of us are friends outside of work, and just having those deep personal relationships where you feel that people always have your back. You can be totally open and honest with each other, even if you have to have a difficult conversation, and people know that you have good intentions. And then on the social side, we started off going for after work drinks, and then now we're going to each other's weddings and baby showers, and it's been pretty special to grow up together. So that's been definitely something important as well.
Certainly. You've been very successful, Katie. That's how I when I think about you, yes, longevity for sure, and that goes both ways. Yes, the company definitely um, provided you with the right environment for you to stay and grow. Another side of it is that you are committed. You are putting so much into this organization, and of course, the organization sees that, sees you as a huge, valuable asset. How your career just grew so exponentially within the organization, that is such a success, in my opinion. Behind all that tiny success, there always mistakes or failures along the journey that we learn from. If there's anything that you can highlight and learnings from it, what would that be?
That's a great question because I've certainly made many mistakes and I've hopefully learned from most of them. I would say one thing that really comes to mind and really resonates with me is that I think a lot of us, at the starting point, particularly when we're earlier in our careers and we're young and we want to prove ourselves, is we really want to be the hero. We want to solve every problem. We want to do everything. We want to impress everybody. And then we think we're going to be the shining star. And I think the one biggest mistake that I've made is just trying to be all things to all people, as opposed to trying to really build and nurture a strong team and rely on them to get that work done and to take it to the next level. One thing that I've really done a lot of soul searching on over the last few years is how to be a more inspiring leader. And that doesn't necessarily mean just doing everything yourself, because I think a lot of people in a small company, the reason you get elevated is because you're a great doer as well as a good manager. And when you've always come from an environment of rolling up your sleeves, working hard, getting it done, all of a sudden, delegating is what's that? So really having to learn that there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's actually how you grow and how you succeed, is by elevating the next level of leaders and really training and mentoring them.
That resonates so well with me. Definitely went through similar challenge and learning opportunities. Yeah, definitely. And one of the things through that journey for me that I learned was setting boundaries, um, not being everything to everyone. That helps others to grow and also helps me. My energy level, my health, my relationship, and so on. So quite a bit of learning that I had along the way.
Yes, I would say there's a direct correlation between how good I become at managing my team and my attendance at the gym. Because I definitely had some points where I said, you know what, I'm 100% work and I'm no play. And I think there's a key balance. It doesn't have to be 50-50. It depends on the person, but I think I'm at my best when I'm able to take a little bit of focus time away and do things that work for me personally as well.
Mhm.
So that's another thing to your point about setting boundaries. I think people respect people that have boundaries. And I think that's something I've had to tell myself, because again, your natural instinct sometimes as a young person is to just be a people pleaser and be all things to all people.
Yes, for sure. It is really hard to say no. For me, that I'm still learning. It is still very.
Even now, I think I say no, but then I end up half saying yes. So I totally understand.
Do you have any tips or recommendations for people who are currently in that zone of trying to be everything to everyone? How to set boundaries, how to grow others, and so on.
I think one thing that I've really tried to focus on is, instead of just trying to do everything, really do some soul searching and focus on the areas where I feel like I can add the most value. Everybody has unique skills that they bring to the table, and nobody's good at everything. And I think sometimes by being stretched too thin, you end up being, pretty good at a lot of things, but you're not truly excellent at any one thing, just because you don't have the bandwidth. People only have so many hours in the day, and you're only productive really for a certain number of those hours. If you're working 18 hours a day, you're not operating at peak productivity for 18 hours. So one thing that I've really tried to focus on is, okay, what are my skills and talents? Where can I add the most value? Where should I be spending those focus hours? And then for the things where I'm not as strong, do I have people on my team that have complementary skills where they would actually do a better job? And it's an opportunity for them to show off that skill. Because I think another tendency as managers and as human beings is we tend to hire people that are very similar to us, when in fact that's a huge disservice, because in a lot of ways you want someone that's your polar opposite, and that can be strong in the places where you're weak and weak in the places where you're strong. So I've really tried to remind myself of that as I go through, hiring and interviewing, and also as I go through assessing the talent on my existing team and figuring out where I can ask people to step up.
One thing that I try to focus on these days is everyone has, like you said, areas of growth and areas where we are really, really strong. We tend to focus on where we lack. Why am I so lacking here? Let me just try even harder to improve the thing that I'm not really good at. And when we can put all that energy into our strength and make that strength even stronger, even shinier, so we can contribute more there. So, yes, we want to work on our areas of growth for sure. We don't want to just, yeah, that's my weakness, let it be. We want to work on that. But at the same time, what are we good at? Let's make that even brighter and shinier and contribute, add a lot more value there.
Exactly. And I personally feel that if I'm working on things that are in line with my natural talents,
Mhm.
I don't feel as tired and I feel more energized.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're constantly trying to do something that you just know you're not that great at, and no matter how many hours you spend, you'll be okay, but you'll never be amazing. I just find that much more draining. So I think just from a balance as well there, it certainly gives me energy to participate in things where I know that I'm doing a good job.
Yeah. I think we already kind of talked about this, but I may still ask you this question in case there's more wisdom that you can share with us. If there is any particular story, because we are humans are storyteller, yes, we share stories with others, and also the internal narrative, internal stories that we constantly tell ourselves. If there's any story that you rewrote to empower yourself more so to live a more fulfilling life, do you have anything that you can share?
So actually, it is very timely because similar to what I was just saying, I think my natural sort of gut instinct when I'm confronted with a problem at work is just to throw a whole bunch of hours at it, roll up my sleeves, grind it out. And I have to tell myself, a lot of times that's not the solution. Like you want to work smarter. You don't want to necessarily just work harder. But growing up in a competitive sports background, as I said, I was a figure skater. You're trained, you fall down 10 times, you get up 11 times, and that's always been my mindset. So I think, just intuitively, I was like, okay, well, nothing, there's no problem that I can't solve. If I have to spend 20 hours and lock myself in my office, I'll do it. And sure, that produces some results, but is it producing necessarily like the highest and best results? Probably not. Probably if I had thought about it and said, okay, you know what, this is either not my skill set, or I need to bring in a team, or I need to delegate, or I need to get advice, I could have come up with a better solution with less time and probably less, emotionally draining on myself. So that's just something where, you don't want to just default always to just get it done at all costs. It's about, let's think for an hour about how this could be done in the most productive way.
Then now with AI and more advanced and better technologies available, some of the things can also be delegated, right? Not only to another human beings, but to technology, it can be delegated and we can be more efficient with what
Yes,
we.
even simple things like, meeting minutes and notes. And as someone that I am not a very good typer, I will put my hand up and say I never learned the proper 5-finger typing method. So even just typing things up like that, although it sounds silly, it saves a lot of time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Is there a misconception people often have about your career journey so far?
I would say the one, to be honest, that really stands out and always sort of makes me laugh is when I meet with often younger people, often people that are looking for job advice or that I'm interviewing, and they look at my resume and they say, "Oh, you've had a great career so far. You've had so many good opportunities. What was sort of your master plan going in?" And I said, I was 22. I didn't even have a plan, never mind a master plan. And I think really one of the misconceptions is that if you're successful, had all this amazing foresight and you had it all mapped out and you had a chessboard and you were moving the pieces around. And I think obviously, of course, there's an element of planning to your career, but a lot of it really is just being flexible, being open to new opportunities, being someone that puts themselves out there, isn't afraid to go outside their comfort zone, and is someone that, wants to be out and network and meet people. Because when I first started in this industry, I had taken one real estate course in undergrad. I had no specialized knowledge or skills other than a standard business degree, like many people. But I went in with an open mind. Like I said, was in the right place at the right time. I'm not going to pretend it was anything other than that. But I think I also presented as someone that was open to new things and that was willing to work hard, willing to learn, wasn't afraid to make mistakes. And I think that is much more important than having something mapped out. Because what are the chances that something you mapped out at 22 is still going to hold true when you're 35? Like, let's be honest. So I think that's really a big misconception. So people always laugh when I say that, but I tell them it's okay. You don't have to have the path mapped out 10 years down the road. Sometimes it's enough to know what you're doing next week.
Very true. I had such windy journey so far. And I hear that question quite often as well. Um, did you mean to pivot when you pivoted? Did you have a plan to jump into multiple different industries and fields of studies? And no, I didn't. I was lost. I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, and a lot of times too, I think it's almost better to not have a plan in some ways, because if you have a plan, then you can be sticking to it too rigidly, and then it causes you to not open your eyes and see what's right in front of you. And then sometimes I think you miss opportunities. Whereas if you're sort of, playing it by ear and you're a little bit more open and you have your ear to the ground, I think you actually pick up on more things.
Another thing about you that I really, really respect and admire is how confidently you show up and present yourself. So far, every interaction that we had, that confidence is always there with you. And I love that.
Oh, well,
Do
thank
you?
you.
I absolutely love it. Do you have any moment that you remember that you felt like that imposter syndrome? Do you have any example that you can share with us where you felt that and how you overcame that or couldn't really overcome?
Actually, I have a really recent one from this year where I was asked to speak on a panel at a real estate conference, which was, that was great. But the specific topic of the panel, I would say, was not really my core area of expertise. And I was really the only one on the panel that was coming from more of a lending background. And most other people were, I would say, closer to subject matter experts, or, they had a designation in that particular field. So of course, your initial reaction is, well, what value am I going to add? Everyone else knows so much and I only know so little. So you have to do a bit, but you don't want to say no. It's a good opportunity. It's good visibility in the industry. I'm trying to, build my network and things like that. So what I really tried to do, and hopefully it was successful, I think it went fine, but I think what I really had to do for myself was to say, you were invited in this for a reason. You weren't invited to this because you're exactly the same as everybody else. If they wanted somebody with that profile, they wouldn't have asked you. So all you can really focus on is, what specific skills do you bring to the table? What unique perspective do you have? And just focus on that. And if you're not the same as everybody else, that's probably better, because they already have 4 people giving an opinion on that topic. So for me, it was almost like a mental reframing. And once I had sort of let go of the fact that I didn't have to be the same as everyone else, I was much more confident. And it was funny because I was terrified up until about the morning of, and then I got up on stage and I was totally fine. So thankfully something worked.
Oh, that's great to hear. I can resonate with that a lot. Yeah. Even after many engagements on a stage, I still feel so nervous every single time. And one thing that helped me, well, there are many things that helped me. One of the things is the how we um, the posture that we do, how we move our body to signal ourselves that we are ready. The the book called Presence by Amy Cuddy. So
You just reminded me to sit up straighter. Thank you.
yes, yeah, I know. So, trying to do like big, trying to make myself big with hands on the hip and just looking straight and big breath, that has helped me like magic. So whatever that she talks about in that book has helped me a lot. So now I do this every time before I go on a stage. I can do this.
It's a good tip. I mean, like I said, because I come from a sports background too, like even breathing is so important. I
Right?
remember before competitions just standing by the boards of the rink and doing, deep breaths. And if you were doing deep breaths and calming breaths and, sort of running through your program in your mind and feeling like you were going to be successful, even before you stepped on the ice, you already had more of a calm feeling over you. Whereas if you were sort of hyperventilating and thinking about all the times you were going to fall, it didn't usually go so well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The visualization. One of the things that you just said that triggered how the more we visualize ourselves doing whatever that we're about to do successfully, the more we can prepare ourselves to the exact thing that we just visualize in our head.
Oh, exactly, for sure. It's a big part of sports psychology for a reason.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. What is next for you, Katie?
So I would say a couple of things for me. On a professional note, the role that I've taken on now, so like I said, I'm heading up our investment management department. That's actually a newly formed department. So that's about 2 months old. So like I said, in my trajectory of getting a new role every couple of years, that's happened again. So what I'm particularly excited about over the coming months is putting together a long-term vision for the department, building my team, working on actually a 3-year planning exercise right now, which is very exciting because I think there's some new opportunities for us to drive revenue growth and to respond to some of the changes that are happening in the market. So some exciting things there. And then on the personal side, I'm really trying with my husband to sell our condo in Toronto, which is a terrible time to do it. But we promised our dog a backyard about a year ago, and so far we have not come through for her. So we are hoping to move out of our condo, get a townhouse in the city with a little bit more space, and have maybe a little bit more of a residential neighborhood. So trying to do both of those. I think we actually have a showing in about 2 hours. So the constant cleaning of the condo is a good reminder that we'd like to sell it soon.
Yeah, I remember those times. Yeah, when we want to sell, when we want to show, every day is the staging.
Yes. And it's not your furniture and you don't remember where any of your stuff is. Oh, yes, we're in the thick of it right now.
Yeah, how old is your dog?
She's 3.
Oh.
So yeah, she's basically our baby at this point. So she's a little spoiled, but she's a lot of fun.
It's exciting time, eh? Moving is stressful, but at the same time, it is exciting. New space because we are.
Exactly. And you have an opportunity to sort of start from scratch and redecorate and go to lots of home stores and all the fun stuff that I'm looking forward to. So the selling part is, sort of the least fun, but I'm really excited to start going to look at places and, you imagine your new life in that area and you check out the neighborhood. So that'll be fun.
Yes, we're going through renovation right now. So it is quite disruptive, right? Your place is just upside down, it's disruptive and lots to do and lots to clean up and whatnot. But at the same time, that vision of new start in the new space, it is exciting. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. New beginnings are always exciting.
Yes. And humans are so affected by the environment that we immerse ourselves in, whether it is people that we work with or the physical space too. So it is, yeah, time to time, good, good process, good exercise to go through, like cleaning up and change things up and whatnot.
Exactly. The only thing that I'm not looking forward to is it will increase my current commute. Right now, I can walk to the office in about 15 minutes. So that has been extremely convenient and really just nice from an overall consistency basis, living downtown Toronto, no traffic, not having to worry about, subway delays. So we're hoping to be somewhere that's still very transit accessible because the traffic in Toronto these days is pretty terrible.
Yes. And I remember your beautiful office downtown Toronto. Yes. Yeah, it
Yes,
was.
we're very lucky to have it. I'm sitting in it right now, and we're holding a couple of nice events in the fall that we're looking forward to. So that should be a lot of
Nice.
fun.
Yes. Great. If there is one advice that you'd give to your younger self, knowing what you know now, and or younger generations who look up to you, what would that be?
That's a great question. I think one of the things that I'm still working on, but I think it's good advice for everybody, is really to try to your best ability to show up every day to work as your authentic self. I think, something that I've been really thinking about, particularly over the last few years, is because I'm, close friends with a lot of my coworkers. Obviously, we know each other both inside and outside of work, but beyond that scope, whether it's at, the executive level at the company, or whether it's with our external partners or our lender partners or developers, just really trying to not put on the professional front so much. And really, I have a big personality that probably to a certain extent comes across. And I'm always just trying to work out sort of the boundaries between my personal and professional life. But I have found that, when you're more warm and you're open with people and they can tell that you're being authentic, they're much more likely to reciprocate. And that's really how you build those deep and lasting relationships. Most people don't really want to speak to a robot that only speaks in corporate buzzwords. So for the most part, that's something, as I've gotten, more comfortable in my skin and as I've grown up, I've just realized how important that is. So the sooner that you can start doing that and figuring out what that means to you, then I think the better.
Yeah. There was and still, I believe, is the misconception where being professional means that you showing up as not really your authentic self, but with a whole bunch of mask after mask, layers of mask, and showing
Exactly.
up with very little emotion.
Well, that's another thing too. Exactly. The lack of emotions. And I mean, we're all human beings. Everybody has emotions. I don't know why we're all trying to pretend like we're not.
Yeah. Yes. That would be definitely one of the devices that would have helped me growing up and help many even now. That said, though, believe one of the reasons why I can show up more as more authentic self now compared to like a few decades ago is because I've done quite a bit of work to understand myself. Because there's so much noise out there, so much pressure to be this way or that way. All the norms and biases and stereotypes that we try to just fit ourselves into, as opposed to being who we are and trying to find who we are, like discover who we are. That's quite a bit of internal work that we as human, I believe we all need to do to live happier life. And it is not necessarily easy work to do.
Well, it's not, especially when you're young and you're starting out and I think your greatest fear is someone's going to say, first of all, you have no idea what you're talking about. And second of all, you're not professional. So I think you overcorrect at the beginning because you're terrified to make a mistake or for someone to think that you're not presenting yourself professionally, when in reality, you can be very professional and you can still be friendly and outgoing and, ask people questions about their lives and get to know them. And I think the people, particularly in real estate, is a pretty tight knit and small industry. And I think people that have been the most successful, regardless of their role, are the people that really everyone views as being authentic. They get on a panel and you feel like you're actually listening to their real opinion. You're not just listening to something they memorized this morning.
Mm.
And you talk to them and you feel like they genuinely are interested in what you have to say. Like that personality type, I think that just resonates with a lot of people.
I saw today actually on LinkedIn, one of the advices that the person on a podcast, I believe, did was come up with failure project or initiative. Try to fail as opposed to try to succeed. Because when you do that, you can really ditch the perfectionism or just showing up as whoever that you think you need to show up. You can fail. It's okay to fail. And that was so liberating to just see and read because the fear of failure is very real, at least to me, and I think to many people. And especially when we are, like you said a few times, when we are young and trying to figure out and trying to find our own space in this world, failure is so daunting. It's scary.
Well, and I think as a culture as well, we probably should do a better job of promoting the idea that it's okay to fail. I mean, if we wanted to have a more open and entrepreneurial society, most people that are starting businesses are not necessarily successful right out of the gate or even on the second or third time. But it doesn't mean that they don't have great ideas, and it doesn't mean that they won't eventually get there. But if you look at the way that, our school system is set up and education in general, it's all about, get the highest marks, beat everybody else, don't make mistakes, don't question it, just memorize the answers and move on. Like, it doesn't really encourage that sort of independent spirit. And I know, as somebody where I'm the oldest child, I'm a little bit, type A, I sort of fit that mold where I certainly didn't feel like it was okay to fail. It would have been nice to know that was an option.
I know, Yes. Katie, are there any questions that we didn't cover that you wanted to cover, but we didn't get to cover as of yet?
You know what? I think that was very comprehensive. The only thing I would love to hear from you is, when are you writing your next book?
Actually, I'm writing my third book right now. The goal is to finish it this year. We'll see. It's already end of August, so we'll see. But the goal is to finish it this year.
That's great. I was always extremely impressed about that, by the way, that you found time to not only work full time, be a mother, do all your various speaking engagements, but also write a book. I found that incredibly impressive. So I'm glad to hear you're still working on it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it fills my cup. I thoroughly enjoy it. So still doing it.
That's great.
Thank you, Katie, so much. It was so good to catch up.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Until next time, maybe next time when I'm downtown, I will message you. Have
That would be
coffee
perfect.
chat in person. Thank you. Talk to you
Okay,
later.
thanks again. Talk soon.
That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember, you have more agency than you often realize. Choose your stories. I'll see you next time.